Yo, what is up guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back again today with another fantasy football video. Today's video is week 2 buy low trade targets. Before I start the video, I'd like to ask you guys, could please go down below and click that subscribe button, because not only is it going to help me, it's actually going to help you, because I want to help you guys dominate your whole fantasy football season. From all these videos, I release multiple videos every single day, pretty much, so it would mean a lot if you click that subscribe button down below, and also follow me on Twitter at NotoriousFNTSY. So let's get right into the video. Now, these guys are in no particular order at all, but they're all guys I'm really looking for. And the first one is Davante Adams, Green Bay wideout. Poor week 1 performance, which is a common trend between a lot of these guys. Had a poor week 1 performance, and some people may say, fuck it, I don't want this guy anymore, and that's how you're going to be able to get them. Now, he only had 8 targets for 4 receptions for 36 yards and 7.6 PPR points last week against the Bears. Obviously, he's a top wide receiver option in fantasy football, and he will be better from here on out. He had to play one of the toughest defenses in the league, the Chicago Bears week 1. So it makes sense to me that he underperformed. I think going into week 2 against the Vikings, he should be pretty fine this week. And I'm very confident in starting him. I'm not worried at all about what happened last week. And I think some owners may be worried about that. And you may be able to finagle a trade here and get him a lot cheaper than you would have had to get him if he went out and blew up and got 30 points last week against the Bears, or 20 points like you've seen him get many times. This is his worst performance in years. He hasn't got below 10 points in 2 years, so this was his worst game in a while. So I think that he will really bounce back, obviously, and have a lot better games in the future. Next guy to talk about here is James Conner, Pittsburgh running back. Now, he had an okay week 1 performance. For honestly, you would think he would have done worse for how bad that the Steelers did. The Steelers played terrible against the Patriots, and he won't be playing the Patriots every single week. So he should be far better for the rest of the season. This week, he's playing against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm fully confident in him this week. Last week, he had 10 rushes for 21 yards and 4 targets for 44 yards, which all combined and added up to 10.5 PPR points in full PPR. So I think that he's really definitely going to be a guy that some people are like, oh my God, fucking Jalen Samuels stole all of his yards. He's going to be terrible. And people get worried about all that type of shit. Oh, they'll think that the Steelers are terrible because they lost to the Patriots. They're not terrible. The Patriots are always going to beat the Steelers. The Patriots are the best team in the goddamn league. So I'm not very concerned about the fact that Conner had a bad game. I think it will be pretty good here on out. People drafted him to be a top 10 running back. Like, some people even believe he would be a top 5 running back. So I'm not sure why people are panicking, and people are panicking. You could see it on Twitter. You could see it in my comment section. People pissed off. James Conner did bad. James Conner is going to be perfectly fine from here on out. I'm definitely trying to target him in a lot of trades. Hopefully the owner in your league thinks that James Conner, or the guy that owns James Conner in fantasy football, thinks that James Conner, well, he sucks or something. Thinks that it's a fluke that he did good last year, when in reality it's not a fluke. He just had a tough matchup week 1. The next guy to talk about here is David Montgomery, Chicago running back. Poor week 1 performance. Just like I said, a lot of these guys had poor week 1 performances. 6 rushes for 18 yards and 1 reception for 27 yards for a total of 5.5 PPR points. Now, the thing with this trade, that is not like, or the trade option, the guy you're trying to trade for, is a lot different than some of these other guys, because I'm not comfortable really starting him week number 2. Like, I'm going to start him in some of my leagues because I'm in a pinch and I need to play him, but I wouldn't necessarily love starting him week 2. Like Davante Adams, I would love to have play on my team week 2. You may have to bench him for a couple of weeks, but once Matt Nagy figures out, he gets his head out of his ass and realizes how good David Montgomery is, he will easily, in my opinion, become a top 15 back in fantasy football. I'm not really worried at all about. I think that Nagy is a smart enough guy to figure it out. You saw it in the preseason. You saw how good he was. You saw how good he was week 1 with the given touches. He only had 6 rushes, got 18 yards, juked the shit out of the Green Bay Packers. Now, the one thing that you also have to be worried about, though, is Matt Nagy only ran the ball to the left. Okay, and that may be a coincidence, because maybe the defense doesn't expect it to go to the left, because Mitchell Trubisky can't throw the ball to the left. So maybe that's why he was running the ball that way. So the defense wouldn't expect it. The next guy here is Mike Evans, Tampa Bay wide receiver. Terrible performance week 1 for what you hoped it would be. 5 targets, 2 receptions. He only came down to 2 receptions for 28 yards for a grand total of 4.8 PPR points. Now, he was dealing with the flu week 1. He's not Michael Jordan. His flu game was 4.8 PPR points. Michael Jordan destroyed on his flu game. I guess it doesn't work that way in the NFL. The Buccaneers should be better this week. Last week, Jameis looked fucking terrible. Is the 49ers defense really good, or is Jameis terrible? That's the real question. But what I do think is that Mike Evans this week against the Panthers should have a solid game as long as he's healthy. Now, obviously, it hurts because they played on Sunday, and now they're on the short week, playing on Thursday, playing today as we're watching this. But I am not too worried about Mike Evans. If Mike Evans performs poorly this week, he will be an even easier bye week 3, but I'd try to get him right now. The next guy that we were talking about is Mr. George Kittel me Timbers, San Francisco tight end. Had a decent week 1, 10 targets, 8 receptions for 54 yards, and no touchdowns, combining for a total of 13.4 PPR points. Now, he had a touchdown that was called back. I believe it may have been 1 or 2 touchdowns that were called back. He looked good on the field. He only scored 13.4 PPR points. People thought, and including me, thought that he may be the number 1 tight end last week against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers defense actually played pretty well. Now, down the stretch, he's going to be a top tight end every single week, without a question. And I think some people may panic on Kittle because he didn't score. He only got 54 yards. He's terrible. That's what people think. In a standard league, he only got 5.4 points. So people might be panicking and be scared that they wasted their pick on George Kittle. And that's where you come in and give him that sweet, sweet offer to get George Kittle onto your team this week before he blows up this week. The next guy we're going to be talking about here, I believe this is the last guy as well. It is. That is Aaron Jones, Green Bay running back. Terrible week 1 performance against a hard matchup of the Chicago Bears, similar to why I want Davante Adams. But Aaron Jones, I want him, but I'm not even comfortable starting him this week and potentially week 3. Now, week 1, he had 13 rushes for 39 yards with 1 reception for a grand total of 0 yards to amount to 4.9 PPR points. Now, he should have a rough week 2 against the Vikings. The Vikings have a pretty good run defense. In week 3, he may also have a rough time against the Broncos. Now, the Broncos looked like a fucking sieve when Josh Jacobs ran all through them and destroyed them last week, so I'm not as worried about the Broncos, but this week, I am worried about the Vikings. So if you trade for him, put him on your bench, wait a week, and then fire him up against the Broncos, or just wait till week 4 to fire him up. So hopefully you guys got anything from that video. If you want to leave any comments down below, anything, sits, starts, whatever, I know that's coming. Please, when you leave the comment, write what type of league it is. Is it half PPR? Is it full PPR? Is it standard? Is it 4-point passing touchdown? 6-point passing touchdown? I don't fucking know what else you get points for, but it's whatever. Points per injury, you can draft Mr. Will Fuller pretty highly. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please click that subscribe button down below, or the one that's on your screen. It's Johnny Manziel throwing up that money sign because we make money over here. Knock one time if you're with me. Thank you all for watching. Have a great goddamn day. Goodbye.